So 9 o'clock, we are going to get ready for bed, 20 past 9. Yeah, so tomorrow is 7 o'clock start. You're getting up at what time?
5 minutes to 4.
I will not be getting up that early.
I'm so in love with you. You got me down again.
Done and done. It feels like I've had quite a few races so far, so I'm looking forward to now having a little bit of downtime and just cracking on with training really ahead of the next block of races. But as far as that race goes, I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you asked me, how I feel coming off of that race, it's annoying because people look at that result and they'll go, top 10, it's not as good as what you've been doing recently, the last few results. But actually, if you look at the specifics, it was fierce racing, and getting into the top 10 actually was bloody hard work. So I'm happy with the times. It would have been nice to have a bit of a better position to represent that. However, the depth of field at this race was very, very big. And as you can see from the times that people were doing, wow, incredible. Like Pierre Lecour, that guy is just on another level. He ran a 1:07 off the bike. I didn't even think that was possible. I'll be totally honest. Unreal. But anyway, I thought I'd talk through the race and kind of my opinions based on that, because as always, there are positives and always there are negatives as well. I don't think there's ever going to be such thing as the perfect race. But every race is different, so I think it's good to analyze it. And this race was, I was really looking forward to this one. Unfortunately, there was no swim warm-up, so I was actually really nervous about the swim, purely because I actually find that I really do need to give myself time to warm up and get the body moving. So I ended up kind of freaking out a little bit, but I was just doing as much as I could, swinging my arms about, doing some press-ups, doing as much as I could. And it was luckily a beach start though, which does favour me because I am fairly good at getting out from the sand into the water and just finding feet quickly. And that was my plan, is to really, I didn't really know who was going to be the fastest swimmer. I knew Pierre Lecour was going to be up there, but I basically just didn't know who to position myself with. So I kind of just set off in the middle and just ran really hard into the water. A couple of really hard strokes and managed to sit on someone's feet. I have no idea who it was, but he was swimming pretty quickly. And for a few minutes to the first turn buoy, I was like, right, I'm just going to nail this and hopefully the pace slows down a little bit. Unfortunately, the pace didn't slow much. And in hindsight, I feel like I could have stayed with those front two guys. It was Pierre Lecour and someone else. But in the moment, I was so worried about going too deep at the start and blowing up and not having a good swim, I kind of slacked off a little bit. So I guess it comes back to race confidence. More confidence and more ability in the water will give me that kind of mentality to go, I'm just going to stick with it. Whereas in this race, I kind of backed off a little bit. I still had a really, really good swim though. Great time for me. And I led out the chase pack basically, which was quite a few athletes. And honestly, the swim at Les Sables, incredible. Absolutely loved it. A point-to-point swim, which was really cool. I've never done that before. I never felt like the pace was out of control. I felt totally controlled the whole time. That's not to say it wasn't hard, but I definitely could have gone harder. And that's why in hindsight, I'm like, oh man, I wish I'd just just gone a little bit harder and stuck on their feet at the front, because then I would have been on the breakaway, whereas I was in the chase pack. And anyway, got out of the swim, long run through transition, onto the bike, spent a bit too long kind of fiddling around with my shoes. Some guys came past. Anyway, jumped on that pack, and the pack was moving very, very quickly. I think for the first hour, my normalized power was 340, 345. So it was pretty big. They were pushing the pace, that's for sure. And the group just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And Pierre Lecourt and this other chap, I'm really sorry, I've forgotten his name. They were just out in the front the whole day. We didn't really see them. But this chase pack just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it got to the point where it was so big that it wasn't productive anymore. Often you find that when you've got a small pack of people, you can work really well together. But when the pack gets too big, it becomes counterproductive. Unfortunately, on the bike, I have no idea why this was the case, but I felt really sick. I really struggled to get my nutrition down. Like, I was having to force myself, but every time I took a big gulp, I just wanted to throw it back up, basically. I felt horrible, but I tried to force as much down as possible. I didn't get through all of my nutrition and hydration, which honestly, really frustrating, but I struggled so much. I don't know why that was. I've never experienced that before, but I felt pretty horrendous. My legs were okay, but just the rest of me, I just did not feel good. Anyway, coming into T2, I came off the bike pretty far up in the chase pack. However, my T2 was shocking. This is something I need to be working on. It's basically just a schoolboy error from me. I took my bag off the railings, got my shoes, everything out, put my helmet down, and the bag basically blew away a little bit. So I then had to end up like fumbling around to get the bag while everyone else is coming in, and it was hectic. So that's completely my fault. Just messed up T2 completely. So I ended up coming out of T2 on the back leg a little bit, tried to chase on to some guys. And to be honest, I was surrounded by a decent group of guys for the whole run. The 200 meter section on sand, honestly, like, not enjoyable at all. That was not fun. It was pretty slow. And then on the run, it was a quick time, don't get me wrong. Like, I did a mid 113, which for me, like, that's decent. Like, that's like this season, like, I've been capable of running that sort of time. But that's the kind of the upper limit of my of my run time so far. So I can't be too disappointed with the time. However, I still felt quite sick on the run, so I didn't get through my nutrition. And for whatever reason it was, I felt like I was only using like one lung. Like, I felt like I only had the capacity of one lung. Like, when you take a deep breath, I felt like I was only able to use like 50% of that. Like, it was so weird. Like, my chest felt really tight. I wasn't running. I didn't have good run form. I've looked at some photos and I'm really like slouched over. And I felt terrible. Like, the time was good, which I'm happy with. But it's kind of frustrating because I know that if I felt good, I honestly feel like I could have got into the top 5, and I honestly feel like I could have ran a minute quicker, which is really exciting. But yeah, I mean, that's, you're not always going to feel amazing on the day, and you've just got to deal with what you've been given on the day and just, just give it all you've got. And honestly, in the last 5K, the body just fell to pieces. It was a bit of survival mode in the last 5K. And I was just happy to cross the line, to be honest. So, not the best result, but still like a solid result from me. It still proves that, like, I've got a good swim now. Like, my swim ability is getting there. I still feel like there's a lot more to improve on. I need to work on my bike ability, but the tactics and stuff in pro racing is so different. Every race is different. This race just didn't necessarily work out for me on the bike. And the run just shows that I do have good run legs. Even when I'm not feeling great, I can still perform to a good level on the run, which is great. But I just wish that I could have, at the start of the race, I did say, like, I reckon I can get into the top 5 here. And I definitely think I'm capable of that, but it just didn't happen on the day. And like I said, that's racing. But it was incredible to be out there racing with so many strong athletes. Some of the guys there were were bloody rapid. And it just goes to show like the level that people are at now. I mentioned in a video a while back the level that people are at. Triathlon has evolved so much. I mean, Pierre Lecour, let's look at that. You know, like I've said, 107 off the bike. That's unreal. I mean, like 5 years ago, people were not running that quick off the bike at all. And everyone is evolving, and 70.3 has become a distance that people are racing from start to finish. They are honestly at the limit the whole time. Whereas in the past, it's been a bit like, you know, it's a long day, so you pace yourself. But now it's just turned into like just trying to hurt each other as much as you possibly can, and just trying to survive and hang on the rivet as much as you possibly can. And it's really exciting, as you can tell. Like, I'm getting pretty fired up about it right now. But it does mean that if you do not feel great on the day, you're not going to do well. Like, if you don't have a fantastic day, if you don't feel brilliant, if you don't bring your best performance, you're probably not going to be in the top 5. Like, you're just not. And you need to get close to running 110s off the bike. And what's really exciting for me is I feel like I can get there. You know, like last season, I was probably running like 115s off the bike. Now I'm running like mid 113s. I genuinely feel like I could push a little bit more, like a low 113, high 112 this season. You know, in a few seasons' time, like I'm still relatively young, 25. I mean, I'm not massively young, but you know, I'm still young compared to a lot of guys out there. And I do feel like, you know, in a few years' time, I could be at that level where I could be running, you know, sub 110s off the bike. It's not completely out of reach. And that's where my mentality has changed. You know, if you asked me a few years ago, 107 off the bike, I would have been like, that is out of this world. That is incredible. There's no way I could do that. Whereas now, because I've seen my progression, I can go, well, yeah, it's hard, but I reckon I could get there. I reckon I could do that. Maybe that's me being a little bit ambitious, but I feel like sometimes you kind of have to be. If you're going to be racing guys like that, you do have to have that mentality. But yeah, it was an exciting day for me, 9th. So yeah, top 10 finish out of some really, really good athletes. And so coming off of that, you know, I can't be too disappointed. And I'm just really excited for the next one. So I've got a few weeks now building up, getting back to training until 70.3 Swansea, which I'm very much looking forward to. Another, British race, so love the British conditions. And then gearing up for the big one, Ironman Wales, in September, which I am nervous about, I'm not going to lie. But it's going to be good fun. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll keep you up to date on all my training. And yeah, it's been a bit hectic these last few weeks with video uploads and racing and stuff, but now I'm getting back to a solid routine. So uploading 2 videos a week is going to commence from now. And I'll see you in the next video.